The State of Rugby in New Zealand, an investigation into the issues facing the sport, a year out from the Rugby World Cup.
Maori rugby, there's something, when you're not from here, something quite mystical, quite scary about it as well, because you know that these guys are tough, they're hard, you know what they're going to bring to the contest, and it's a fantastic challenge to come up with that. And rugby needs these kind of little unique pockets to sell it, and the Maori are a fantastically unique pocket. Get them out there and use them and showcase them and say, this is why New Zealand rugby is the spiritual home of the game.
Yeah, Maori rugby, like Polynesian rugby, is largely a family type thing, a brotherhood, and that's very much of the island and the Maori way of doing things. So team sports, where you needed to combine and obviously being physical and explosive and aggressive, suited the psyche of Maori as it has Polynesian, and as it does to the European as well.
The Maoris always play for each other, and it's great to see that. That's it's one of the most enthralling parts of it. They just get by with selections and people sort of filling places, and they're desperate to make sure they do well for they all got a common belief.
It's just a great concept. You have a spiritual, cultural people who are embodied into a rugby team, and they bring all that history and heritage into their jersey, and they bring it onto the field. Rugby it's battle, it's war, and they bring all that with them. So as a rugby player, you love all that, because it's more than just rugby. It's almost about a way of life. It's about people being very proud of who they are, calling on their ancestors to help them through the game. This is fantastic. That's what rugby needs, is just that element of magic. You could argue it's racist, but just don't even bother going there. Just look at it for what it is. It's a magical little pocket of rugby that can be used to promote and enhance the game that we all love.
Maori rugby is in a real disarray at the moment. Maori rugby is not actually, they're not having any input at this stage. You got your Maori team that has been selected. I remember the Maori team as they were just as good as any All Black team at the time. The calibre of Maori All Blacks that were playing for the current All Blacks, they were fantastic. You had the Sinzan Brooks, you guys, Aaron Penays and Jamie Joseph. They were able to swap in and out of these roles, and it's just so unfortunate that Maori rugby hasn't been given the what I would call their rightful place in New Zealand rugby. And I say that because I do see Maori rugby not as revered as years gone past.
They must have a game every year, if not one, if not two. They must go on tour every 4 years, every second year. They've got to go out of the country, and they are such an important part of our rugby. I know in the far north, in the Bay of Plenty, the amount of Maori boys that are playing the game, it's huge. Because that's where the bulk of our New Zealand Maori team comes from the various tribes in those areas. Whether they live there now, they could be way down in Chicago, but that's where they've come from. And it's in the Constitution that they are a very important part of New Zealand rugby. The whole fabric of our game was based around them. And they have every right to ask for a game every year. And I think it's a bit short-sighted when you start saying we don't have any money. No, yeah. You do have some money out there. I do. You're not broke. I know you're not.
Well, we had to trim $2.5 million worth of activity out of our budget for 2009 to get us to where we would be comfortable with the end of the year result. One of the things that we decided on balance, and not an easy decision, was that we wouldn't assemble a New Zealand Maori side unless we found an appropriate match which would pay its costs. And we were actually very close to pulling off a game against South Africa prior to their Lions series. And we actually thought that was going to happen, but in the end it didn't. So, not without its controversy, we haven't had a New Zealand Maori program in 2009. I can say, though, that we're very close to confirming a very good program in 2010, which will appropriately celebrate 100 years of New Zealand Maori rugby.
Interesting one, Maori rugby, because it didn't draw a crowd when there was Maoris versus Barbarians, I think, at Albany Stadium a year or so ago, and the forum that it was given didn't do it justice.
I was disappointed that the Maori boys never got a game this year, and just looking and listening to the Italian coach when he brought them out. I think he used to be coach of South Africans. He was saying that this was great having a game against the All Blacks and one against Australia on the way home, and we had France, we had England, and they're always playing teams that are ranked above Italy. Yeah, he was just wanting someone to play below him, so he'd have a reasonable chance of knocking him over and getting some confidence. So just reading between the lines, this was the Australian, it might have been Nick Mallett. This was the South African who was coaching Italy. Great getting the All Blacks, great getting the Wallabies, but they're ranked 3 and 4. We're ranked, down here. And we're always getting beaten up by the big boys. So I thought, why wouldn't you put the New Zealand Maori team up against Italy? We would have put a smashing side up. Fantastic, fabulous team. And they play, let's say, because of they don't get joined together for year after year. They just go in there and fire a few balls around at training, and they play a pretty breathtaking brand of rugby. Have beaten the British Lions.
There are some very important facts to consider. Probably, one is that Maori players are disproportionately represented in the professional ranks. So if you look at the percentage of people in the population, the percentage of Maori players in our general registration database, and then the percentage of players in professional rugby, it's a disproportionately high number. So, forever, Maori rugby has been a very important part of the fabric of New Zealand. It tells its own story, as it should, but it's also part and parcel of our story. And we think that's an important story to continue, and we will do. We've got an independent New Zealand Maori board. They give us good advice. We're working closely with them on a program for 2010. And it won't stop there, there'll be a program in the future. But it's like every other part of the game, it has to live with some of our good decisions, some of our tough decisions.
2011, there's a World Cup on. I don't know how things are going to work logistically, but there'll be teams looking for warm-up games ahead of the World Cup. I think it'd be a fantastic opportunity for New Zealand to resurrect the New Zealand Maori in 2011 and say to Wales and Ireland or anyone else that's got their hand up for a warm-up game, hey, listen, you come out a week early. Forget all the stupid rules about you can't play games this close to the tournament. That's just ridiculous. Get rid of all that if they haven't done so already. I haven't looked. And allow the Maori to go and play. Arrange 3 test matches against teams that are here for the World Cup. Be fantastic. And really ham up the whole cultural side of it to sell that experience to the overseas fans.
Maori rugby has always been proud, always been flamboyant, creating superstars and new styles.
It's fast open rugby. The ball is thrown around amongst the backs a good deal, and
Maori teams are renowned, especially in the past, for singing riots and songs off the field. They were always asked to perform, and there's a very strong theme of that emerging in the book. And so he thought the most famous title associated with the team was Beneath the Maori Moon, which is a love song that was sung by George Nico and recorded on the Deep label in the 1930s and 1940s. Some of the players who both played for the All Blacks and New Zealand Māori did come out and said they preferred playing for New Zealand Māori and meant more to them wearing their jersey, representing their own people, than what it did in playing for the All Blacks.
I probably shouldn't say this, but really at the end of the day I don't think it sort of mattered who won. And I think that was Maori rugby,
The ball comes out to the Maori half-back who feeds it to his 5'8", from Proctor to Mariner to Smith.
New Zealand Maori gave us the opportunity to play a brand of rugby.
In a dazzling movement, Smith flashes over the line. It's a try.
One with flair, uncompromising in our commitment, camaraderie and courage. A specific style that Maori rugby is renowned for.
That Māori like about playing the game, but it's more than that. Māori enjoy throwing the ball around. There's a very distinct flavour to the game that they play, and I think they really get a kick out of playing that style of game, and it's something that they've been renowned for, and it's something that they've passed on to other countries through their various tours.
Really, I've only played one game for them against South Africa, and we bloody lost, so it wasn't the best. But I think there is a place for Maori rugby in New Zealand, and I think we've got to try and force it so we get more Maoris involved.
Māori were fiercely proud of two things in their world. One was the Māori Battalion, the other was the Māori All Blacks. And it's something that is positive, something that Māori can get behind as a people and say, look, we are right behind this team represents us on the field, and they've got a very proud history to go with it.